In recent years, the climate emergency has forcefully climbed up the global agenda. Oil and gas companies, responsible for the majority of global emissions, have found themselves under even increasing scrutiny and opposition. Climate protests have become more common, and the build-up to international events such as COP 2016 have gained extensive mainstream media coverage. Against this backdrop, Ipsos asked, how have levels of trustworthiness in oil and gas companies changed over the last few years? It might come as a surprise that the share of the public who feel that oil and gas companies are trustworthy has improved 3 points since 2018. The increase in trustworthiness among oil and gas companies might be because they are performing better than anticipated against expectations already set very low. However, during this period, the major extractive businesses have also communicated a series of announcements and strategy pivots, explaining how they are transitioning to greener energy and keep planetary warming at level compliant with international climate frameworks. One of the biggest lessons emerging from Ipsos Reputation Councils over the last 2 years is that the companies that receive the biggest trust boost from sustainability are those which are moving towards a sustainable approach that is not an add-on, but is integrated to their business, their strategy, and their purpose. While Ipsos Global Trustworthiness data shows that trust in oil and gas companies is not in crisis, monitoring trust remains extremely important when you examine them in context. Compared to other industries, oil and gas companies remain at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to trust in business, with just over a fifth of the people globally feeling that the sector is trustworthy. Indeed, globally, the public are most likely to be neutral towards oil and gas companies than have an opinion about the sector trustworthiness. 22% find sector brands trustworthy and 34% untrustworthy, but 46% sit somewhere in the middle. This large undecided group represents the best opportunity for oil and gas companies to improve their position.
So moving on to look at trustworthiness varying between country and region. Broadly, trustworthiness tends to be higher in industrializing markets like China, India, and Malaysia, and oil-dependent Saudi Arabia, where there's a strong recognition of extractives' economic contribution. It also tends to be lowest in Western European markets, where there's greatest concern about the role of fossil fuels in climate change. We can see Netherlands, Belgium, and France at the bottom of the table. So thinking about how oil and gas companies can become more trustworthy. To do this, we asked about various aspects of trust to identify what might drive trustworthiness. On this chart, we've ranked them by importance to the public. But putting that to one side for a minute and looking first at the size of the green bars, we can see that oil and gas companies stand out as performing best on trust drivers, such as being good at what they do, 39% agree, and being well led, 31% agree. The sector potentially has the most to gain from demonstrating leadership in these areas, rather than leaving it to politicians, courts, or pressure groups and environmental organisations. As Giulio mentioned, the large pool of neutrals also represent a big opportunity and advantage to oil and gas companies. There's an opportunity to demonstrate to the public through behaviour and communications that oil and gas aren't just part of the problem, they're a leading part of the solution as well. So going back to the ranking, we can see here that being reliable and being open and transparent about what it does are the drivers of trust with the greatest level of importance to the public. As shown in the final column, oil and gas companies have made good progress on these two drivers since 2018. However, despite progress, the proportion that disagree still outweigh those that agree. So the net scores remain negative on these drivers, -3 points and -11 points respectively. So therefore, oil and gas companies need to show that they can keep their promises, and they should demonstrate clear progress against any plans and strategies that they set out. To really gain that trust, they need to continue to show that they are not only good at what they do, but also that what they do is providing benefit to everyone. you.